yeah, so I don't think TikTok's going to work for us today. So either the account's got some kind of a temporary ban or restriction going on it for live that they're not saying, or it's glitched or something. But I'll probably just fully disconnect it and reconnect it for the next stream. But yeah, the system is literally sending the stream to TikTok, and it says it's streaming in TikTok's own live feed, and then it doesn't show. So there's obviously they'd probably be viewing the account or something. So we'll just roll without them for now. Let me just check it's not this PC as well. Let me just check. All the other streams are actually working. But yeah. Yes, that's yeah, that's working on there. So YouTube's up. Let's try Twitch. Yep, Twitch is up. So it's just literally TikTok screwed. Facebook's up, so we've got 2 people on. So yeah, TikTok's just what it is for now. It's not streaming, so obviously I can't tell you to move over if you're on there because it's not working. So that's just what it is for now. So we will be on in a second. We'll put this in. Yeah, we'll be on the Mega Drive 2 CleanRGB, getting a really good video signal out of it. We did one the other day, but we've got another one in at the minute as well. So we'll jump onto that in a second, basically. Yep, I think everything's working on stream except TikTok. It's always the pain. It's literally every problem we ever have on stream. It's always TikTok. Every problem that comes up. But it's also by far currently the most popular, basically. Oh, thanks for becoming a member. So you'll be able to jump in the live only streams and stuff, and your chat should appear on screen now. I don't know how quick it does it, but if it doesn't do it this stream, it'll by tomorrow. Your messages will show up on stream now as well. So only the members basically get their chat showing up on stream now. So it makes it a bit easier for me to focus on work and not get too distracted by all the chat. I can now focus just on the sub chat. I don't know actually why I'm putting this together, because I've got to do the GoTech and 3D bracket. Actually, I've got to open all this back up, so there's no point doing this much more than it's already at the minute. Just get that out of the way. Let's clear the desk up a minute. Those can go back. At the top. Ooh, whacking the microphone. Put these screws away. I might as well close this. All this TikTok stuff in the way anyway. There's no point in that running if it's not working. That's all that cleared out the way. So a quick desk tidy up, and then we'll get on to the Mega Drive. And I've just made a much easier install mod for it now. Obviously, I don't have it in hand. I only designed it 2 days ago, I think it was. When I did this other CleanRGB install, I realised, wait, I know it was on stream and it takes a bit longer, but when it took me about 2 hours to install an RGB mod, I was like, this is way too much work for something I can just make a quick drop-in mod. So literally right after that stream, I designed a drop-in version, and that's in sample production now. So it shouldn't take long. Should take maybe 2 weeks to get in, and then if that works, I can mass produce it as well. Pug is still sitting outside sulking. He's lying on the mat outside. Not very impressed with me. He's normally asleep when I start streaming, so he doesn't notice where I am, but I got up a bit later this morning and he's followed me down and now he's just sulking outside. Right, clean desk, nothing on. Let me now actually pull up the orders so I can find out where this Mega Drive is. I just know it's next on the list, but I don't actually know where it is. So Mega Drive 2 52391. Combined order with a Mega CD box floor. So right there. So we have Mega Drive 2 System Works. Oh, full recap, Clean Power and CleanRGB. So I was planning on only doing the CleanRGB, but we can do the recap as well. We'll do ceramics on this one, and then but we'll start with the Clean Power because that's the the CleanRGB. That's what I wanted to do. Let's just power this up, make sure it works. Where's the Sonic? It won't have RGB yet, so we'll have to get composite. Where have I put the controller? I never find the controllers. We have a separate controller tub, and I haven't put it back in the controller tub. Why have I not put it back in the controller tub? Where have I put it? I was using it yesterday for the Amiga. Oh, is it still down here with the Amiga? Maybe. Yeah, still on the floor because I was using it to play on the Amiga. So the Amiga can use the Mega Drive controllers. So we've got that, we have the power supply. Inverted. I think it's inverted. Actually, I think it doesn't. I'll double check the wiki. Hey, welcome in. Thanks for becoming a member as well. And then the if you're on YouTube directly, you'll have those little icons you can use. They don't show in the chat on the stream here, but they show on the actual YouTube chat, which is nice. I'll see if there's a way to get the icons to pull over in the chat, maybe dropping like a different chat overlay on so we can see them. I just realised this is live. Yeah, I pretty much that's all I do now on the. I don't do much of the any of the pre-recorded stuff at the minute. I just started doing lives and seem to do them mostly in the morning now before everybody else wakes up. So this one we're doing a Mega Drive 2. It wants a USB-C power on the back instead of the DC jack. RGB, like a CleanRGB mod, and it wants a full recap as well. So we'll probably work through. What day are we on? Tuesday. Yeah, I've got a few hours, so we should get all this done. Mega Drive 2 is positive inner, not outer, so a standard DC jack. Always get that backwards. All right. Yes, thank you very much. I've spotted that pop up. That means a lot. And then when we do, we'll be doing like subscriber only streams as well, where I do streams just for subscribers, for going a bit more in depth on what we do, what tools I use, how you do it. So basically all that good stuff if you want to learn more. It's a bit more focused then with less people in, but more focused on the subscribers. So let's test if this still works. Right, AVN, power in, pull up the screen, Turn on, and nothing. So, good start. Now this is one, a customer hasn't paid for any work to be done or any diagnostics, they've just said it's literally a working console. So let's just toggle the filters, nothing. Let's just give the socket a clean, because sometimes it's just a slightly dirty socket and that's what it does basically. If not, then the system doesn't work, which it doesn't. So it's a minor problem. Customers paid for no diagnostics whatsoever and a load of mods, but the system doesn't work. We've got power lights, so the system's coming on. Let me just double check it's not the converter, and I'll put it through my actual CRT, because sometimes, rarely, but I haven't used the retro scaler enough to be 100% sure that it works on all signals. Yeah, so the retro scaler's struggling with, it's either that or it could actually, oh, no, it's just me being an absolute idiot. I've still got the HDMI plugged into the OSSC, not the retro scaler. I haven't set this up yet for a nice little simple switch. I have to physically unplug cables at the minute for swap between composite and RGB. So I just keep never getting time to sort that. So there we go, there's Sonic. So we know this is all working. This is composite, so if we show you full screen, that's the quality of composite. So not too bad, but look at like the start game section and the edges of Sonic. So you'll notice like the blur at the very edge of the blue border as well, where it fades to the red. And you'll see like black on the left side of the box, where it goes from red to blue. These are kind of composite artifacts, basically. And then that glitches like that when you turn it off. So we know the system's working, and now we want to improve the output. So let's start with CleanRGB mod. And I don't even think I sell these yet. This is one thing I want to list on the website, or have I just listed them? I'm just starting to do more of the ready-made consoles, and the Mega Drive I'm focusing on now. I'm starting to make mods for. Yeah, I've got the Mega Drive 1 listed, but I haven't listed the Mega Drive 2 yet. So if you want these, we've got the Mega Drive 1s listed. And if you want any specific mods on these, just let me know, because there's quite a lot of interest we've seen. People want the composite still, so that ugly composite signal they still want. And they want the dual frequency oscillator, so you can switch between 50 and 60 hertz, but on composite. Personally, I just go with RGB. I wouldn't, you know, do that, but there's enough people that want that I'm going to do it. So let's open this up. And I don't know what do you reckon we start with, the recap or the CleanRGB? We've obviously got to do the USB as well, but I'll start with either the recap or improving that video output. I think the video output's like obviously your most rewarding thing when you change it over, and then the recap doesn't really do much once you've recapped it. It just looks better, and obviously the console's better for it, but visually you don't get any pleasure from when you've finished it. So I think, just as I said that, one comment's coming, yeah, I think the recap first, just because the RGB's nicer to finish off with and see, you know, well, for one, we can finish it off and then play a few games on it on the new video output. So we'll do that at the end. That's the cage off. Got one screw floating around. These always fall off the Mega Drive 2. I always used to wonder where these come from, these little metal brackets, and they come out the back here with a little screw hole. So on the back of the console, there's actually, when it's closed up, you just see this little screw hole, and it's obviously for attaching accessories and things to the back, screwing it to the back of the Mega CD, I presume, as well. I don't really use the Mega CD on the 2. I've got the Mega CD on the 1s, but my guess is that'll lock it into the base of the Mega CD 2 as well. Yeah, we've just checked this works, so we've had Sonic up, so we know it's good. We can just quickly plug it in. Get that. Sonic, turn on, pull up on screen, and there's Sonic working. So we know the system works. Before we do the recap, and this can have or this will be able to have, it still can, but this can have a pure ceramic recap. The only one you'd normally use aluminiums on still would be this one by the Aldio regulator. You'll have like a 470 usually, or a 220 cap. Yeah, this got a 220, but this is going to have a clean. It's going to have a USB mod, clean power. So the clean power won't need the aluminium either. So what we'll do is replace this one with 2 stacked 100 microfarad ceramics. And then when we come to do the clean power mod, it bypasses this anyway. And this will be a nice clean ceramic build then. Yeah, the last CleanRGB I was impressed with, because I know the Mega Drive ones have some jailbar issues and things, but I was surprised how clean the Mega Drive 2 come out straight away. We have that. I don't believe that's stock, but it looks stock. I haven't worked on enough Mega Drive 2s, you see. I've done a lot of ones. I don't recall that being stock, but the strange thing is I think it is, because all these caps are stock, and it's the same. Actually, I'm saying these caps are stock. Let me double check. Yeah, the caps are stock. So they've actually used Rubicons as stock caps on these. That's quite cool. So yeah, that one, you can find images online. It's got to be, I would have thought, a stock cap. And it looks stock as well. Yeah, I just never noticed that. And that is smoothing, what looks like just smoothing power, 47 microfarad. So we can get the pinouts on the wiki for these. That is, I'm intrigued. Not relevant to necessarily, well, it is relevant because it's a cap and we want to replace the cap. So let me just look at what this actually is. So I'll start with the pinout on the AV port on the Retro 6 wiki, because I've done all the pinouts, so I'm hoping I've done it for the Mega Drive too. How small for a phone charger? Fit it on the edge of my finger, so you can just use a USB power delivery IC with 2 resistors, and the USB power brick will do the rest of the work. So the clean power that we're about to fit on this does exactly that. I can get it outputting 20 volts on a little board, like literally size of me fingernail. Because all the work's being done by the USB, all you're doing is negotiating with the USB for the 20 volts. Website is retro6.co.uk for the purchases, and if I pull this one up on stream, if you want info, more so than purchasing, if you want to do repairs or learn stuff, then I have, get the right camera up, retro6.wiki. So this is if you want info. So I'm just going to check my own wiki to see if we have the AV pinout, which we do. So I've done that, and normally I do the bottom of the board. So you can see here then, this is the bottom of the board that we're looking at, and yep, that's the AV port. So these pins here, we have obviously, if we look at the screenshot, this would then be audio mono, audio right, left, C-Sync, blah, blah, blah. So these outer pins, they don't go anywhere. So, but the second one over is there, 5 volts. So we know this is 5 volts, this leg of the cap, and I presume this is ground, but ground on the other side of the PCB. So that's literally just got a 47 microfarad cap on the 5 volt rail going to the AV port. No specific reason why we're not loading down this port, but maybe they had issues with composites or receivers being plugged in trying to tap off the 5 volt rail. So this is to smooth the 5 volt rail on the output. So we can always put ceramic between there. I've never, you don't need it. I've never seen it needed. And the AV ports and everything we do, you don't see that on any other console. So that is definitely not needed, but just considering it's there on this one, we might as well just put a ceramic in there for the sakes. So why not just start with that one? we want, and again, this is the fact that this is just on the 5-volt rail on the AB port. The size is completely irrelevant here. They've put a 47 on. So it's obviously just what we call a bulk capacitor, one that's used to just smooth out a power rail. It's not filtering, it's storing energy, basically. So I'm going to put back on a 47 for the sakes. I keep going to go under the desk, and the caps for them are here. So let's get these caps out. And we will put on 47. It's actually, to be honest, I know I shouldn't probably slag TikTok off too much because it's where most of my audience currently is, but it's much easier and focused when we haven't got the TikTok spamming 2 different chats. So we have chat on the left for everybody else and chat on the right, like for me to see for TikTok, and we get a hell of a lot of comments on TikTok and quite a few bits of spam at the minute. So having the slightly less audience is actually a bit more relaxing for me. Right, so to put this on here, we'll just wedge it in between the 2 pads. It should fit nicely, so a bit of flux. And warm that up so it can rest in. So there we go, that's nicely in place on that one. Are we fully zoomed in? Now we can get a bit closer. There we go. Turn it round, and then this one, now it's all locked in nice. We can just reflow that one. There we go, and we just want to make sure we're not contacting this via here. Got the world's most useless IPA bottle. I might as well just tip stuff out of it. Need to get another one again. Let's clean that area up. And that didn't clean up much. So see how that's not really cleaned up? That's because we want a bit of heat. So if we warm this up just enough to get all the flux nice and toasty. There we go. And then if we clean it while it's hot, it should. That must be existing flux. That'd wipe away the flux I use. So we'll just give it an assist there to clear off. So this rosin flux that's already on was making it look a bit dirty. So there's the 5-volt rails here, and that's ground. And yeah, that's all on nicely, because that's one cap done. This won't take long to recap because ceramic recapping is nice and quick. And we can, doesn't harm it, we did on the last one. One thing you can do, say you're going to recap these and you're going to go with ceramics, you can just snip them nice and flush if you want, like this. And then they're completely flush for the caps, and the legs stay in the bottom. Or you can pull the legs through, whichever you prefer. I typically pull all the caps through. So I'll typically hot air from underneath and remove all these. But you can also, if you don't want to do that, you can snip like this. So I'll snip that one, then I'm going to remove all the others. But I just thought I'd show you that, depending on your preference, you don't have to, you don't really have to pull the caps through. It's just, if somebody ever comes to want to say, the one reason I don't do it, say somebody wants to change this set of ceramic caps for whatever reason back to through-hole caps, they're going to have a nightmare pulling all these little legs out because they're now floating in the middle of the board. So the reason I wouldn't do this way, basically, just snipping legs, it's quicker for me, but if anyone ever wanted to reconvert this console back, it's worse for the other person. So that's why you generally wouldn't see me snipping legs on caps, even though people will say it's faster. That is just one of them things, it's preference. The only time I do it is if there's a reason, like there's some plastic potentially in the way. So you're going to risk damaging part of the console or something. That's when I would then cut a cap for the sake of, you know, preventing damage. Cap lists, no, I'm going to start doing them. I've got the list for obviously myself, but I'm going to start doing cap mats. People buy loads of our cap kits, and I just say I remove them one at a time and then obviously put them back in. But yeah, having a cap list has been a long requested thing, so I will get around to doing it. So for now, in this area, here we got 10, 10, 10, 3 in a row, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and let me guess, 10. Cool. 10 on that. 10 on that. I think they just like 10 microfarad caps on the Mega Drive 2s. They've gone overkill on them as well. Right, so basically, every single one in this area, this entire board here, all them are 10s. So we can just whip all them out in one go. I don't know whether they just go from the top as well. Yeah, so let's go for the top. You might see some popping caps then. Somebody asked yesterday what happens if you pop a cap, so let me show you. I doubt we will, but you might do if you go above the board like this to... oh, we can't do it here because the plastic power switch. Well, yeah, all these. When I was saying about the plastic, this switch is something that you'll potentially melt. So what I might actually do is I might just remove this power switch so that I can hot air all this off. It's probably quicker to remove this power switch and then hot air everything else off than it is to... oh, has it got bent pins underneath, really? Why would they do that? Yeah, they bent the pins of the switch down, so I'm gonna have to really pull that out to get it out. Yeah, I'll get onto that list with the caps. They're not that hard. Yeah, I'm still gonna remove this switch. What I'm gonna do is snip them legs off that they've bent. So I'm just gonna cut it into the solder that's on there. And now we are going to remove this switch, I think. I'm going to do this with, again, because it's a plastic switch underneath, I'm going to flow some leaded solder into here. And then we're going to desolder pump it off and then hot air it after to get the switch out of the way. So it shouldn't take more than a minute really to get this off, and then we can freely hot air around without the worry of melting this switch. Right, so that's now the pins, the pinholes cleaned. I'm just going to try and bend them little pins up because those middle pins they bent over when installing it. So that's as good as nearly off. And now this won't quite pull out because it never quite does. There's still tiny bits of solder holding them pins in. But now when we hot air this, it will warm up quick enough that we can pull this switch out before it does any damage to the switch, basically. So if I can get this angle right. Like there, I can now warm this up with hot air and just use my fingers to remove this switch. It shouldn't get hot enough that it'll bother my fingers because we've got barely any solder on this board now. There we go. So that's the switch out, and yeah, we're all fine. So let's desolder pump this. So all that squeaking was just the bent pins rubbing as I'm, bending it out. It was perfectly warm enough. It was just Obviously, when they put the pins through and they bend them, then that's the squeaking noise, basically. Let's just clean up the power switch as well. Bend these legs back into place and get rid of any grime on them. Alright, so I think that's cleaned up enough. We might have to, I think we're going to have to desolder braid the switch as well, just because it's still got bits of solder on. So see all the little bits of solder on there. Well, you can just about, they're going to stop it going in. See, like these little whips of solder there. When we put it back in, going to prevent it going in easier. So you just get the iron with some desolder braid. You can see then that cleans them off. So that's actually a bend there that's left. That's a bend in the leg. So that's again part of the squeaking when you're pushing this through. The legs are actually bent in that shape. So if I can get this on camera, I'll try and put the wick down, put that on, and warm up. So yeah, we might, I might just snip them legs flush without the bends on when we poke it through, because they're just going to be a bit of a nightmare to poke back through because they bent them so sharp. That's literally metal there, that's not even solder. So that little harsh edge is actually bent metal there. So I'll probably just snip that just off so we haven't got the sharp bends and get them all a bit flusher. Well, just that really. There we go. So the middle two pins are just like nice and flush now. And then those outer legs will go in. So that's the switch out the way. So now we don't have to worry about melting that. We can hot air all these caps off in one go. So it's worth the extra little bit of time. And now we can sit and comfortably hot air this entire location now. Whereas if that switch was still on, all these caps would have to use the soldering iron and take a lot more time to do this job. So now we can just go literally straight in from above, warm up, try not to blow the caps up and pull them out. And then we'll just chuck the ceramics on. So we know all of them up to, was it this one? That's 10. Yeah, so all of them except the two up here. All these are just 10 microfarad. So we'll just warm the board up in general and pull all these out. Oh, we've got one here that isn't actually, well, I doubt it's 10. There's one little one down here. We'll take him out first and try and remember what he is, basically. And then also got to remember is when we come to do this one, he's probably still going to be 10. He's probably just decided to use a lower voltage, which won't matter, and we can use the higher voltage. And this will actually, if this is audio, BA1032, I think that's audio stuff. So by putting ceramics on here, it's also going to be much better, because ceramics are much better for audio as well. Yeah, it's a 10 microfarad, so that's also 10. They just used a slightly different voltage rating for whatever reason. So all these are going to be replaced with 10s. Once one warms up, these will all start just lifting out nice and quick and easy. We are recapping a Mega Drive 2. And then we're putting an RGB mod on to improve the video output. And then we're also doing a USB power mod after this. This one will take a little while because it's on the main ground plane. There we go, that's out now. And they do like to bend the legs on these caps by the looks of it, so they're all a little bit, when they're loose, they still have to be wiggled out because like that's now fully loose. I can feel there's no solder, but it doesn't want to come out because of the bend, so you have to like wobble back and forward. So you kind of feel when the solder's molten, and you know that you're not pulling traces, you're actually just moving the cap. So that's now fully loose. I can feel it, but again, these bent legs mean you have to literally bend back and forward to get them out. I think this is definitely the best method for these on the Meg Drive 2, because trying to remove caps with bent legs with an iron and desolder pump takes a lot longer. It's a pain. Wow, that's got some bent legs. That's literally fully loose and I can't even get it out. There we go. And then we obviously don't need to, the added benefit as well of putting the ceramics on here is we don't need to desolder pump the holes, because we're not putting through holes back in. And it looks a bit aggressive. It looks like I'm, I'm like tugging the board more than I am, but this is literally just like I say, the fact the legs are curled over on the underside. That's all that's happening here. We're not doing any kind of, risk of damaging the board here. As long as you know and you can feel when the legs are molten, then you're not actually pulling traces, you're just pulling caps. Yeah, ceramics on audio will be a lot cleaner because they have a lower ESR, a better response curve to frequencies, and better filtering for noise. So just in the simple process of recapping with ceramics, you're actually going to improve the quality of audio. Whether you'll hear anything is a different matter, but if you scoped it, you'd see the audio will definitely be a cleaner, smoother rail and filtering of any of these caps are doing the filtering side. Obviously, you've got, if these were larger bulk caps on audio, then obviously you'd have a lot larger aluminiums. These are all 10 microfarad, so these aren't bulk. These are just going to be for, well, they'd be bulk in a way, but they're that low value that the ceramics, anything below 100 microfarad, ceramics are almost universally better for the job than any other cap. Alright, so we've got this last one here, and then the other two will leave until we've done the 10s. So that's all them off. Could do with a plastic tub to start putting these caps in. I've got one lying around anyway. I think I've run out of them. A minute. I've got one in here, but I think I've used them all. Yeah, crystals. Don't really need the crystals anymore though. But yeah, got no tub. Well, pretty cool then. Let's nick this tub. For audio in general, it's about, if you know the circuit and what the circuit's doing, then yes, it's generally true. But obviously, there's a lot of audio circuits. There's a lot of things that happen in audio circuits. But the general principle is, if you're doing audio and stuff as well, you probably want a CPO and NPO and COG rated capacitors. That is literally designed for high frequencies and audio applications as well. We've also noticed, I've just tapped a resistor there when we've pulled this cap off, but luckily it's just resting on the desk right here. So, I say, right here, got solder between my tweezers, so I couldn't pick it up. is on my desk over here. So actually, that's not. Was that missing? Because we've got one here. We've actually moved a few little components without noticing there. So this one, come on, I ain't get the temperature. This one is obviously going to be this ceramic cap here. And the other one I've got is a resistor. And we've got, it says up there a cap, and this one's a resistor. So we've also got a resistor somewhere around here. There's the resistor, R35. So we do also have one little cap that's gone wonders. So it's probably stuck to one of the cap legs. So I'll just pull up the schematic for that. But we had that cap nudge out of the way, that resistor's back on. And we've got this cap here, C19. So unless I can see him on my desk, I cannot. Is he on any of the legs of the caps when we've nudged them? I don't think so. So he's gone wonders. Let's just pull up the schematic and find that. C19 on a Mega Drive 2. Yeah, this is a full-time job. I've got a few jobs. Got a software company, the retro company, a few other bits, but yeah, this is full-time. How do we work out the size of the caps to use? Physical size, most of the time, 0805s or 0806s will fit in the gaps. Sometimes 0603s are better, but I tend to stick to around the 0805s. And then in terms of voltage rating, just overrate them all the time. Get the highest rated voltage cap you can that fits on the pad. Check the originals, make sure it's at least that or higher. And then you have to look at the circuit as well to understand what's going on, because you can't just blindly replace everything with ceramics. There's situations where, for example, on the Atari Jaguar, there's a cap on the power rail that needs to be a low ESR but also polarized cap. So that can't be a ceramic. So I tend to obviously study the schematics before I make SMD kits, or before I start just randomly replacing SMD caps, basically. This will be fun because I forgot the schematics for the Mega Drive 2. Is terrible. So I'm going to have to hunt around. We can't search the schematic. I'm going to have to hunt. I might as well pull this up on screen so you can hunt with me a minute. That's the wrong one. That's the flickering Sonic. Turn them off, and then let's go to that one. Right, so we are looking for C19 or R21 because that'll be near it, and we should be somewhere around the audio part of the circuit, basically. So I think it won't be on this bit. Are we down here anywhere? So this is starting somewhere near audio. Here's headphone jacks and wicked. We haven't even got. You can't even read them. C221 I can just about read. This is a terrible schematic. I don't know if we've got any others. A VA1, let me see if there's any other schematics. Sometimes there's redrawn schematics by the time you find one. I'm going to see if there's a redrawn schematic for Mega Drive 2. If not, I can grab a Mega Drive 2 and find out that part. I can just put it through the LCR meter and find out what the cap is. Let me see if there's any other. VA1. Is that any better? Okay, there's a VA1 schematic. Let's get these files downloaded and saved. Give me 2 seconds. Where are they? Mega Drive 2. And this is from the Genesis VA1 versus the, I think I've got the PAL schematic up here. But they're a bit clearer on the details, so we can see a bit more. Right, so that's them. Open the Genesis up. Right, so this is the American version, but you can see we can actually see the names of the caps and that a bit better. Right, so I know we're around the audio. Well, I'm pretty sure we are. It's the, let me just Google what this part is. I'm sure this is an audio amp. BA 1032. Data sheet. It's a quad ground sensor op amp. So yeah, it's going to be, surely that's going to be audio stuff. So I'm hovering around looking for, has it got a designator on? IC10 and IC9 are the two chips. So see how it says like IC2 and IC4 on here. We want to look for them. So it's IC7 now. So hopefully it's on this one here. It's got to be. Yeah, so IC9, IC10. So we are on the audio circuit. We're now after C. It's either CI9, which I doubt it'll just be C19. So it's not like these E numbers. It's going to be C19 or R21 we're after. R20, R22. That's always happened. There you go. C19 is a 220 picofarad. So bottom corner here. That's what we want to replace. So it's a 220 picofarad cap. So that wasn't too bad. And then obviously, if you're doing this in future, this is the first time I've removed the power button and done the hot air on all these. Now I've done that, you can see what typically, or what's in risk of happening is knocking these off. So next time I do this, that's something I'd now pay attention to a bit more. Because it's, again, a change of technique. I'd normally just warm the board up from underneath with a hot, with an iron and take longer. But I think it's worth removing that power switch. There are 603s, so that's what I'll do. So 220 pico. There we go. So we have a 220 picofarad right here. So we're going to grab one of them. And that is not that critical of a part either. That is actually a probably going to be a high-pass filter, that is. But obviously, it's important enough to keep the audio exactly as it was. But it'll be having limited effect. This one, we probably could have knocked that off, not noticed, and you won't even hear a difference with that missing. But we obviously want to restore it. So let's just hot air this back on. Considering he got knocked off with hot air, I'm going to put him back on with hot air. Yeah, that probably wants a fresh bead of solder on first, actually. And while I'm here, let's tin all these pads, because what we can do is go straight from doing this to hot airing all of the ceramic caps straight back on the board. We might as well do it all in one go now. So I'm just going to go around and fresh solder on all these pads. And then we don't have to, actually, the width of these we're going to have to use an iron anyway, to be honest. They're too wide for hot air. So we will have to iron these ones on. If the pads are close enough, then you can just hot air the ceramics on, but these pads are too far apart for doing that, so we'll still tin them up, but then we'll come back and we'll have to solder and iron them on. Right, so this one goes on here. Sent a message on Facebook. I'd usually check Facebook probably every other day, maybe. I open up all the socials and go through them, so I shouldn't miss it. But I'll check, obviously. It's not as frequently I check the socials. Do we ever get a break? Yeah, I sleep. But I've got loads of work to do as well. There's an upgrade for this cap, is there? For upgrading the audio filter circuit, potentially. Yeah, I think somebody's done quite a lot of work on looking at how this performs audio-wise, and I think the one you're on about where they reconstruct this circuit and, you know, change the filtering. The thing with that is, though, it's one of them. We're enhancing the video, even though the original's a bit shit. But enhancing audio, I think, is a lot more... Is that a big blob of salt that's landed down there as well? Yes, it is. I think changing the audio is a bit more personal for people. So even though it's like, in one breath, you can upgrade the video and no one complains, I think if you tweak the audio, it's a lot more of one of them things people might want to not do. So I'm not going to do it for this customer without, you know, them effectively asking for it, because the sound side of things, I think, is very distinctive. Changing the sound isn't the same as improving the sound for some people. It's got a retro sound to it. Right, so now what we need to do, all these blobs here, we just need to go around and put 10s on. Why can I never find the 10s? Oh yeah, they're in another tub. Got the 10s in this one. 1, 2, 3. So there's my 10s. Put a load just on the side there. We can start working through. So I'll just drop some on the side and I'll just be picking them up. And then let's go through. And the way these work, the footprints aren't designed for this. So if I was going to make an SMD kit, I'd probably make these larger. Actually, these are not bad size, but I might make them the next size up so that we could hot air these on, because I don't think, pretty confident we're not going to be able to hot air these on because that gap is a little bit too far for hot air. But I like to hot air because, see how I'm trying to get this cap to stay center? Like, it would naturally float central if we were doing hot air. So I flip this around. Say on here, what I want to probably try and do is make it centered first, like that. So make it in line before I put the second blob on. Whereas when I'm hot airing, you don't have to think about that. You just hold it in and it naturally centers. So all it'll be is I need to really... have we also knocked off a C? Oh no, we haven't even been up here yet. I was going to see if we knocked that C34 off. So there's a point. Did anybody notice on stream, was that even on? That might actually be a non-populated cap. Or we could look at, if you Googled Mega Drive 2 PCBs and looked in that area, C19 might be a no-pop. Because we haven't actually worked up here yet, and I've just noticed there's quite a few caps that aren't actually populated. So that's something worth checking. We might not have actually knocked that cap off. It might have just been a non-populated cap. So that's central there. I can tell I've got up later though, because we've only been streaming for like, what, an hour, and it's already daylight. I've normally been streaming for about 2.5 hours before daylight appears. I suppose as well, for those that are on that are actually subscribed to the channel, I'll start doing them videos soon. What are we thinking we want to start with on the subscriber only streams? I was thinking of first going through the overall desk setup that I've got here. So the tools I use in a bit more detail and why I use them, because that has been one of the most requested things I've had for years, is for people saying, like, I know people like to know all the ins and outs of all the tools you've got all around your desk. So I didn't know whether to start with that kind of desk tour, if you will, and then moving on from that, maybe doing like soldering, figuring out the best way to get you guys to potentially get certain boards in or certain tools in, so you can kind of follow along with the soldering practice, building up to more complex stuff, but getting the basics down first, the tools and the soldering. That's what I was thinking I'd do on the initial kind of the initial vids. I can hear Rusty snoring as well. I'm here working away and Rusty's passed out in the hallway snoring his head off. Oh yeah, we've now got an 11-minute stream up with basically me just kissing Rusty and giving him food, and then we ended stream. It's pretty much that's what happened. Just because TikTok doesn't want to stream, so I've give up on TikTok for today. We tried it twice. I'm not going to keep ending streams just because TikTok doesn't want to play ball. C19 is 47 mag for a 10 volt. No, definitely can't be. It's tiny pad, way too small. It wouldn't physically fit. This is a VA1 Mega Drive 2, and it's also in the right place. It's attached to R21, which is 2.2K apparently. So yeah, and that's got 222. So you see that'll be 2200. So that's definitely gonna be the right one. A 220 picofarad. You might be on a different revision board, obviously with then the same name. The Vision Mega Drive, the front headphone jack sounds better than what came out of the rear. Yeah, I'm literally about to make all mods for this now. I'm like focusing a little bit more on the Mega Drives. So when I come to do these mods, the audio one is something I'll focus on as well, and I'll reamp the front and the back. We'll listen to it probably on stream when I've made a mod. What I'll do is I'll capture some audio, release it as well, pre-recorded, and let people choose if they think improving the audio is something they want, and we can do like a little audio part of the mods I make to improve that as well. But I've got plans for, obviously I've done the CleanRGB already, and then I've got plans for an almost like a kind of mega mod that does everything else in one go. So region switching, dual frequency oscillator, custom color power LED that also links in with the frequency, language switch, audio upgrade, like all of these things in one big go. Basically, that's what I was thinking of doing when I do the mods for them. So if you've got any ideas of mods you want to see on the Mega Drives, just reach out to me anywhere, send me details, and I'll consider them as I'm doing this, basically. We're working on a Mega Drive 2. Let me just zoom out for you a minute. So we're recapping at the minute a Mega Drive 2. So it's fully working. We've taken all the caps off here now. So all these are now nice ceramic caps. We took the power button off while we were working on here, so we didn't melt the power button. So now we've done all this area, we can put the power switch back on. If it fits through. Did we desolder pump the holes? I did a shit job of that. Let's say we did, but yeah, I think it's clear enough to get through. We should be able to just push this back through. There we go. It's not a very well secured port. That's probably why they bent the pins. Kind of rocks all over the place. But if I push down firm on that, probably easier to show you from this camera angle. I'm just pushing firm down on the button to keep it in place a minute while I tack that on, because it doesn't lock into position very well. There we go. So that's now on solid, and we can fill in. Where are we? All the way up here. Fill in the remaining pads. That's it. So that's now power switch back on. And I think that was worth it. I think the removing that power switch to allow us to then do all this work, hot airing them off nice and quick, was worth it. Yeah, CE19 would be the one you were looking at. The cap is, we found it on, is this overlay? Found it on the Genesis Mega Drive 2 because the PAL one, the schematics, that badge, you can't read it. So we've come to this page, which is the 4th page, and then you can see all these op amps here. These are them 2 black chips, and we found it down here. So there's C19. So luckily we found that fairly quick, mainly because I knew that the area was audio. So from a glance, I was looking top down at the schematic to try and find the audio section of the board. Otherwise, that would have been a nightmare to find. What we could do as well, because we've kind of knocked a resistor and a cap off there, let's just quickly power it back up, make sure we still have audio and everything works good, and nothing's gone awry with doing that. Plus, we've taken the power switch off. So there's a few things we've done there that we probably want to just verify before we carry on. Our work is fine. So we'll pull that back up, turn that on, put them on. Power switch works. That's on. Let's listen for the audio, see if it's what we expect. Yep, sounds okay to me. Yep. Good money in repairing? Yes and no. Never going to be rich doing it. We charge probably the most of most people. That's just with experience and the fact we have high demand. We've always got, 100 plus consoles in at any one time. Very rare we get less than that. And we've built a reputation over 7 years that people will pay us good money and trust us that we're not going to screw their devices up. But even then, you're not making much bank, to be honest. I do this mainly because I love doing it. It's enjoyable. I've always said if I stop enjoying this job, then I probably wouldn't be doing it. It's got to stay fun because it's not a money-oriented job as such. You've got to have a passion for it. Right, so that's all good. We've done them. We've got these 2 here. So I think we can hot air. Well, let's see if we can do all this bunch again. 10, shocker, 10. Do you want a capacitor map for the Mega Drive 2? It's 10 microfarad everywhere. So we've got a 47. What I'm going to do for simplicity, if it isn't 10, I'm just going to write on the board 47, like that, nice and quick. And I can wipe it off. And I can just take all these off in one go. Everything that isn't marked is a 10, so that's 10, 10. That is 10, so not marking. That, I think, was 47. Yep, so this one's 47. To be honest, I could just put a 4 because there is no 4s. That'd be obvious. 220. And then we have 47 and 100. So I'm going to put a 1 and a 4 because, to me, I know they think it can be a 1 microfarad. And a 4, there is no other cap that's 4, so I know that's going to be 1. I know it's going to be like 104. 47. 10. 47. 47, 47. So those are all 4s. I'll just put 4 times 3, my cryptic message. So those are the 4s. The blacks are surprisingly 220. 6.3 volt 220s. I might have a look at what they're doing. That is probably, I'm guessing they're going to be just caps on the AV line filtering, which means you can use 100 microfarad ceramics because we're going to do a CleanRGB mod. So these are going to be 220s. And that one is 220, so I can just about fit it in. There we go. So my squiggly writing everywhere now, I think, allows me to remove everything. Is there anything left? 47 over here, so that can be a 4. That's a 4. That's a 10. Yeah, so now that entire board has been too many things in that, doesn't fit. There. Entire board has my squiggles on that make sense to me, which is all it needs to. And now I can just whip all these caps off in one go. So let's just go in and get a nicer view for you, so you can see me doing a bit of this work. And I'm just going to go from the top, warm the board up, and take all these off. And then to be honest, that's not a very good angle for you. Probably best just doing a top down and zooming out. and then try to remember to move the board so you can actually see what I'm doing. And then if anybody sees me knock off any small caps and things, just let me know. That Sonic is called Sonic.exe. It's a hacked ROM version where you get an evil Sonic chasing you, and it's a really good ROM. It's not just like a half-done job. It's actually a pretty good job at making it a game. I used to put it in the store when we had the physical store, and kids used to literally be scared of it when it popped up because they thought they were going to play Sonic, and then when that popped up, they genuinely got scared. What have you discovered here? We are modding an old Mega Drive 2. So this is replacing the aluminium caps with new ceramic ones. And then we're going to be doing a USB-C upgrade, so you don't need the old DC power jack. And also an RGB upgrade for the video output. Yeah, we'll play it when we've done the RGB. We'll play that Sonic. We're doing good on the subs as well. We've got 24 subs already. That's pretty cool. And then, like I say, we'll do I'll start doing some subscriber only streams. With how many I do, I'll probably end up doing one a week, but the more subscribers we get, the better, because then it'll be you don't want it too small that there's too few people, but you don't want it too big that you can't focus on the subscribers. That's kind of the point of it. But I'll definitely aim that more at the insider knowledge and teaching you guys how to do this for those that are interested. Morning, Eddie. Welcome in. Just recapping a Mega Drive 2 at the minute with full ceramics. And then we're going to do a CleanRGB and a clean power USB-C upgrade as well. And then the customer's got a Mega CDN, but I'll probably leave that one to Zach. Now, if any cap's going to pop warming it from the top, it'd be one of the bigger ones like these, because it takes more heat to get molten, and there's a bigger cap to bubble up. So if anything was going to pop, it would be this one. Oh my god, they've bent these legs that much, I literally can't lift the thing out. There we go, one leg out the other. Actually, we'll come in this way so we don't melt the cartridge connector. Oh yeah, you definitely want hot air. I use hot air as much as I can for every job I can. Just a different technique altogether, and you're never dealing with, if the board's got like, especially older boards where they've got like, say the electrolyte's leaking, if you're trying to then use a soldering iron, the soldering iron won't penetrate the electrolyte, so your soldering iron won't get the heat through, and you'll struggle to do a lot of things. Whereas hot air, nothing stops hot air. The air is going to warm up the board no matter what's on it. It's completely impervious to contact transfer. you know, the air flows on and transfers no matter what. So it's especially on these, like say, retro boards that are often have things like the leaking caps, or generally poor PCB pads, even where they just aren't as well designed. The hot air makes everything easier. And I'd say this is one of the consoles where they went crazy on capacitors. I'm sure we could remove 50% of all the caps on this board. I think they've gone a bit overkill on what they think they need. I could probably redesign this board with like 5 caps on it for the most part. So I think that's all the caps off. And then we tend to keep caps, not necessarily all the time, because these are ceramics, so it's pretty obvious you've done the job, but it's just part of what I'm used to doing now. We tend to keep any caps we've taken off and send them the customer in a bag, just so they know you're not scamming them, because there's so many people that scam, saying they've done recaps and they haven't. So I tend to send back any caps we've taken off, just so the customer's got no doubts about the work, basically. You're stoned right now and can't stop watching. That's funny, because as I was removing that cap, I could smell weed. And I'm sure, I don't know whether it was the factory assembly workers when they used to assemble these were smoking, or whether it's just the smell of the old circuit boards, but certain consoles always smell of weed when you warm them up. And I honestly think it's the assembly workers, and the smell lingered for all these years until you warm it back up. Right, so now we just got to put all the caps back on and remember where we've taken them off. So this one I mentioned, we're going to be using a CleanPower USB. So we can stack on here, instead of the 220, we can stack 2 100 microfarads. And we couldn't, well, we could do this, but we couldn't with the ones I've got at the minute if we did, because the LDO would probably want a little bit more capacitance. It'd still work, but I wouldn't typically do that. Otherwise, I'd probably put an aluminium on here if we weren't going to upgrade it to the CleanPower. But for what we need, this is actually going to work good. That's one. And you'll tend to find that most ceramic caps, you can get 220s, but they're more expensive. You'll find most ceramics max out at the 100 microfarads. So if you want larger than that, you can do what we do here and just stack it like a tower. So now you can see that. We're just stacking one on top of the other. And then we can now blob solder on this side to link these two together. Like so, and we have a big capacitor tower. So that's what you end up with. If this diode wasn't getting in the way of the view, you've just got a capacitor stack there. So that's now 220 microfarad in essence. This one's 47 here, so we'll grab the 47. And I think Let me stretch this chat out, because when I'm looking at the screen, I tend to now be... there we go, that's better. I have to make sure I'm positioned well for both the vertical and horizontal streams, otherwise... you don't see what I'm doing all the time. Finally joined early enough. Yeah, I'm quite late on today. I did one last night as well. So I don't know what time it was. I just didn't want to sit and do nothing last night. I was going to play games. I was going to go on like Resident Evil and that, but I just fancied working last night, so I carried on working a bit longer. But yeah, I think the morning streams are definitely a fairly standard thing at the minute. 10 microfarad if not mentioned, so this one will be 10. And we are just recapping the whole board, and then we'll get on to, I'll probably do the clean power. I think I will. I'll do clean power on this after. Actually, no, we'll do the clean power last. We'll do the RGB after this, basically. Right, so that's them there. Let's move over to here. So we've got one down here as well. Again, no mention of it, so this will be a 10. Yeah, he worked at Sega, so it's I reckon it is true. I do think the factory workers were assembling these, and I can smell the old remains of the factory workers when we warm them up. Unless it was from a dorm room. To be honest, the amount of times you smell it on the devices, I honestly don't think it is. It's the same. It always seems to be like the same consoles that you get it on, unless it was just, again, pure coincidence and those consoles were popular. But yeah, I do think it's something to do with factory assembly. I do. Right, that's a 10. This one's a 47 here now. Well, these two are 47s, so we'll grab these two 47s. Nice. Yeah, I do quite a bit of the Lego as well. I'm literally just building the Atari 2600. I've just finished building the body. I'm on the last bag, which is for, I think, what looks like the last game cartridge, which is probably, I'm going to say it's maybe Centipede because it's green. I can't remember. But yeah, I love building the Legos. I've got in my games room, there's quite a few of my Legos just out there. It's just something chill. Just takes your mind off stuff while you're building the Lego. You just sit there and relax a bit. I forgot just how many caps were on the Mega Drive too as well. There's so many. Right, so we've got another 47 here. My cryptic note, 220. Is that 220? Why is there a 220 and a 4? 220 is before 4 times 3, so that means these 3 are 47. It's all one side's on. I'll do the others. Let's zoom in a bit more on these as well, I suppose. Now we've got the other message, which is 220. 220 times. Oh no, 220 is just pointing to this one, so that's the 220 there. Yeah, these are quite nice. They are literally soft. It's basically a clone of one of the most expensive Soldier 9s, a JBC, basically. It's a clone of it. The tips you can get genuine. I've used JBC tips as well, but honestly, the clones of the JBC now are that good. You don't really need to bother with a JBC, to be honest. There is a difference, but not massive enough that it would matter. So it's scary how good those super cheap clones are now. Right, so these were 220s, but I'm pretty sure they're right next to the MB, which is the RGB outputs, ground into there. So I'm sure these are going to be for that. So I'm just going to put 100 microfarads on, and I'll check the schematic after. We're not going to need 220s. If we do, we can always stack 220s, you know, like two of the 100s on. But these are normally to remove the DC offset on the AV port for the RGB, and the CleanRGB is going to completely remove the DC offset anyway. So these are going to be redundant caps. We're just putting them on for more preservation, really. They're not actually going to do the job that they were there to do, because the CleanRGB is going to fix the requirement for that. This was a 1 down here, so I know this was 100. The one above was a 47, so let's do them too. So 100 is the bottom one. And again, this will be the filter for the input to the LDO. So this is completely bypassed with the clean power. So again, this cap doesn't even matter. This one won't be getting used, but we'll still put him on. And then the 47 above. Oh yeah, with better tools can definitely help the job. But there are exceptions. So I've got all the fancy tools. My tools are absolutely ridiculous in terms of cost. But I also try to find cheap alternatives so people that follow can also purchase and follow along. And I also don't like wasting money on things. I don't mind spending money on good stuff. So like the camera above's 10 grand plus just for one top-down view. I've got a £25,000 thermal camera, but I use a £600 one instead, which I find better. So more money isn't always better. The Soldier 9s now have got that good that honestly some of the clones are scarily close to the very expensive versions. And I've used JBC. I've got the Walla XMP stuff. I've got about 10 Hakko irons, literally. I've got 3 still boxed new. So it's not like, you know, I'm using this, but I could buy better. I've got the better stuff. What I choose to use is what I personally feel is, you know, the best all round, like the side camera, not the face camera, but the side camera. This one, not as good quality, but the benefit, I can move it around with a little device and zoom in and out to get better views. I choose that over my Blackmagic side camera because that was a bit more awkward to work with. And it's the same like with the Soldier 9s. Sometimes it's just easier to work with simpler irons that do a bit less if I'm not going to use all them features and save myself on desk space. So now I've got a super compact, super cheap iron, but actually I can do my job with it just as well. I don't even notice the difference from swapping between them. So I'm quite happy with that one. But yeah, you can. There's some things where money and paying for the right stuff is definitely better. All right, I think, unless anyone can spot anything I've missed there. 147, that is 10, it's not rated. 220s there, 220s there. They were the 2 black ones. 347s, 47, 10 because it wasn't mentioned. 47, 47. 2 10s that weren't mentioned. 10. And we did all this bottom side. So yeah, I think that's all of them. Now I'll probably just clean the board maybe. Just get rid of my little notes. Oh yeah, I can imagine with the... I think the biggest problem I find with tools is sometimes if you do want a good tool, like you want to pay money and get good, as simple as like say sticky tape, getting just good quality sticky tape, because the market's now so flooded with everybody trying to sell everything for the cheapest amount possible, but everything claims that it's the best spec possible. If you genuinely want to buy something good these days, you can sometimes struggle because everyone just says, you know, if there's, say, a battery out there that's 2,500 milliamp hour, and you genuinely want one and you want to pay for it, the problem is all the fake Chinese ones are 600 milliamps. They'll still say the 2,500. The genuine ones get mixed in with all the fakes, and you kind of, even if you know what you want, sometimes you can't get a good tool. Same with like cutters. I find like side cutters, getting a good quality side cutter. The market's just so flooded with cheap alternatives in every industry. I think it can be hard to be able to go to a reputable brand and know what you're getting if you do want something high quality. I think we do a resurgence of high quality stuff. I do. Like, you know, people that are willing to pay money now for good stuff. It kind of went the opposite way. Everyone wanted everything for cheap, and now I think there's a lot of people that will willingly pay good money for good stuff because they've seen what happens when the market's flooded with cheap shit. Right, recaps are done. Let me put the caps away now. They can go under. Desolder pumps not going to be used. I will bag up the screws just for now to clean my desk up a bit more. And I'll put them caps in with that. So, get rid of this as well. Is Rusty still out there? Oh yeah, Rusty's fast asleep outside. he's been waiting for me. He's literally on his side, flat out outside the door. It's a shame I can't move the camera to show you outside. I know what I can do. I can take a picture and show you. So he's fell asleep waiting for me to come out. So that's just outside the door. He's just passed out there asleep. And then he's waiting. There's the kitchen and his bed. He can go in his bed, but now sitting waiting for me. Sits his little bum on this ledge, and he's just gone sideways and flat out there waiting. He's not going to be impressed with me when I go out. Oh yeah, the rotary tools. I'll tell you what I got. I know might be good for jewellery making as well. I purposely looked up a good micro sander, but you can still use it as other things. Have I got it lying around here? Yes, I do. So, sidetrack, but when I was looking at restoring plastics and doing the best jobs we could for restoration, I do airbrushing as well. So we've got like airbrushes. This was a little cheap one, so I could just have a handheld one at work without a container. And this is probably dead now. But you USB-C charge it. And you got a little air compressor. The main thing I was after though was things for filling in and welding plastics, and then this was the best. Little micro sander going, and I think I had to import it from Germany. Can't remember where I got it from, but I've only really used it slightly. I don't know that you'd know this brand or if it was good, but Proxon. And this was rated as by far the best kind of, I'm sure it was like for obviously a vibrating tool. So you put it in, put your little plastic tips in, like that, and then twist to lock them in. So push that in and twist to lock. And then you got a little tip that you can put your little sanding pads on, micro sanding pads. So you can get into like, you know, fine areas. So you imagine you were working on something and you wanted to, say, sand, obviously not on a circuit board, just a complete example, but say sand something in a little groove, you can get into the groove and kind of get in there with bits. I never really got to using this much. I was going to do like real heavy restoration of cracked plastics and dints and start refilling them with epoxy and then sanding them down, basically. But yeah, that's one example where I was trying to find a good tool for micro sanding, and this is the only one I found that was good. And it did do a really good job. See, one example where it's the other way around as well. The hot air station, I've got the Quick. That's actually better than my expensive stuff. So I've got, I can't remember what brand it was for the hot air station. I think I have two. And the other brands of hot air needed like an air compressor. So you had to have an air compressor running, and it kicked in and was noisy. And then I went with the cheaper models like the Quick, which have now gone up in price, but they were even cheaper when I had them. And they had an integrated air compressor, ran more silent and did the job just as well. So that's literally a case where I have more expensive hot air stations that are worse than the cheaper ones. I'll desk clean up, and then we will do this CleanRGB. There we go. This way. Right, so I'll show you the mod I've made. So the last stream we did on this a few days ago, obviously a different customer. I've made the CleanRGB Universal, which is, as it sounds, a one board works on every console kind of mod. So this is a Universal CleanRGB, and this board can be installed on pretty much any retro console with RGB signals that are just not attenuated right, not the right voltage, have DC offsets, have noise, filters them, you tune them, and then you get the perfect RGB output. So this works on everything, really. But it involves oscilloscopes, hand wiring a lot of stuff, knowing the circuit. It's not ideal for Joe Bloggs that just wants to chuck an RGB mod on a console. But the idea was I made one product as I started getting into the RGB side of my mods, and we offered this on consoles. I didn't want to have to make an RGB mod for every console. Like, I think we've got 70 consoles listed. I didn't want to make RGB mods for all of them when sometimes we could only sell like 3. So I think we've only ever done about 7 mods on a Mega Drive 2 at the minute, but they weren't really listed or worked on. So I didn't want to make a mod for the Mega Drive 2, a mod for the Mega Drive 1, one for PlayStation, N64, go through all the consoles, and then maybe not even sell RGB on them. So I made this board so that whichever RGB mod we sold, I can install it onto the consoles. But it takes more work and time than if I made a dedicated mod. So because I'm just about to start doing the mods on Mega Drive more, I've actually made effectively this CleanRGB Universal, but pre-configured and easier to install. So if I can pull up this on camera, so you're not just looking at a bottle of drink there. Do that one. This is now effectively the same thing. So this is the clean, move that out of the way. This is a CleanRGB Universal. I've managed to reduce the 3 components down to 2 because I don't need the gain stage. We only need a divide stage. And then instead of these pots, all these pots, they're now fixed resistors. So all these blacks are like fixed resistors to set it to the exact value that it needs to be for the Mega Drive 2. Then we've got solder pads both sides, and it's going to come with pre-stripped wire already, so that when we come to do the work on this, as you'll see, it's going to sit over the top of this. So that board is about, have I got anything that's even the right size? Basically, the board is just wider than these 2 pins and the same height as this chip. So it's going to literally stick on top of that chip. And before you stick it on, you're going to attach wires flying off here that come pre-stripped. So you just got to solder a bunch of wires there. They fly out and then tack on the board that will sit on top. So you imagine that white board sits on top of here, and those gold pads either side attached to wires that connect here underneath. So it's going to be a nice quick install, and you don't have to tune anything. So that's the goal of that. That's in production now, and it's a prototype, so I don't have it yet. So we're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way, or the longer-winded way. So what we need to do, we did this already, so I've kind of got it fresh in my memory. I just hot air this off and bend the 3 pins up. So we have ground here, I believe it is, red, green, blue in, and then you've got something else here, and then you got, I think that's C-Sync, maybe, I can't remember. And then you've got red, green, and blue out. So we need these 3 to be lifted up, these 3 pins. So for that, I'm just going to hot air the chip off. Just quicker for me than even trying to warm up with an iron. You can just warm up with an iron and bend these 3 pins up, but for how quick it is to hot air this thing off, I'm just going to take it off and bend the pins. That's the chip off. I'll put some fresh solder on these pads. And clean off with IPA while it's still warm. There we go, nice and clean. By the time we've done that, this chip hopefully has cooled off enough that I don't burn myself. So we have the chip here, and we want to just bend these 3 legs up here. So 1, 2, and 3. All you do is literally put your tweezers in and squeeze, and that bends them up perfect. So that's soft, these legs. So, and it's just nice to be neat as well. So that looks like nice and clean now. You can't tell from above, but the legs are perfectly bent. So when we solder this back down, they're not going to touch on the circuit board. Let me just clean the flux off the bottom of that. That's just because it's sticky when I'm handling it. So now, before we put the chip back down, I'm going to pre-attach 3 wires to this, just 3 flying leads. And this is what that kit will come with. basically already pre-stripped for you, because again, the time that this takes to do this install is quite a bit of it is stripping down the wires. So getting the enameled wire, setting it in the iron, pre-stripping the end, fluxing, blobbing on, all this lot will be a lot quicker when the kit comes with the wires cut to size and pre-stripped. So that's what the kit's going to come with. And I say that, I don't know why I'm putting these on just yet. We need to do this the other way, because obviously when we hot air the chip on, it's going to hot air them wires off. So let's just hot air the chip back on, and then it's the soldering of the wires. I tend to do under the microscope just because it's easier to see, but I'll try and do it just looking at this screen for you so you can actually see what's going on. I still haven't set that little microscope HDMI thing up. It's not quite in focus. Even if I plug the HDMI cable in, it's not in focus for my eyes and the screen at the same time, so I still need to work on that. Right, so that's that chip down. It looks like those 3 pins are connected, but they're not. If we get some angle on there in a second, let me just let this cool, and then I'll tilt it up for you and show you. That one is now okay to let go. And you can see, you have to get really tilted so you can see, but those pins are floating up in the air there. So even though from above it looks like, you know, they're soldered on, because there's no depth perception. This is part of the struggle when I'm soldering using this screen and I want to attach these wires now. There's absolutely zero depth perception, so I cannot tell where this iron is in air. So I have to kind of, in order to do it on stream, I have to kind of partially look at the screen and then look down at where my iron is to know that I'm even somewhere I need to be. So I'll try to do this for you, and when I'm doing this, then I get my head over like this. So I try my best. It is a lot harder to do with the streaming camera. There we go, so that's on nicely. Right, also before I cut that wire, we put this board over here, didn't we, last time? Can anybody remember where we put the board? Because it was catching on the shield, wasn't it? I think it was on here hitting this plastic, actually, wasn't it? So we had it, I'm sure, pushed over to here, and we had the inputs this way, I think. Is that what we did? It doesn't really matter too much, but I think that's where we ended up putting it, that way around. The inputs on the other side, the outputs down here, and we touched against that plastic. So I'm sure that's the position where we want it. Like, and it hit up against this plastic nicely. So I'm going to stick it there. And it comes with double-sided tape already on. And I'm sure it was, yeah, because we had to move that cap to fit it down here, something like that. So I'm sure that's where it was. This is now, what did we do? RGB. So RG, this is the blue output to the AV port. So this wants to go around here and up to there. And then we'll go over this side. Ow, forget how hot that wire gets. Right, so blue tack on here. Zoom in. Down. And there we go. And then we'll straighten all these up after and tuck them under and glue them so they look all nice and neat. But that's one. And now we need to do the same for the green, the one above. yeah, I like watching people do stuff like this as well. But the problem I find is I can rarely find anyone that's doing it. Like I looked last night. I was like, can I find somebody that's just soldering something? I don't really care, or fixing something, because as strange it is when you do it for a job as well. I just fancied last night just sitting and watching something that's a little bit intelligent instead of just the normal social stuff to relax. But I couldn't even find anyone. The only one I know of is obviously Joey Does Tech, and I never catch them streams. It's always just pre-recorded clips, and I think I've seen enough Switches and PlayStations that I don't find them interesting to watch, unfortunately. But I'd like to find somebody I can sit and watch sometimes when I do actually want to just chill. I like the more long format stuff, like I say, so you can just kind of chill out and not the couple of minute jobs, the kind of doom scrolling. I don't enjoy that at all. Oh yeah, the Sonic shoe thing. I've had that with what have I had that on? Where I literally thought the colours were way off. I think it was on the Atari 2600 originally, the Pitfall game, because obviously the way the palettes work, they're obviously different on NTSC as they are on PAL. And the problem is on the Atari 2600 that if you tune to Pitfall the colours, you have a background and trees and bricks and things. So you naturally want to tune it where the scene to me looks correct. You've got like the trees look brown and the floor looks more. It's hard to explain the colour, but basically when the colour's tuned correctly, the trees and the floor almost look the same colour. It looks wrong. It looks orangey and washed out, but that's how the game actually is. So I always ended up tuning the Atari 2600 PALs in Pitfall to what looked correct visually to me. Like that looks like a real scene, but it wasn't actually tuned correctly. And then if you go to other games where the frequency is ever so slightly different, because games on the Atari, for those that don't know, it's actually the games that are generating the video pulse. So the games dictate the frequency. They can literally. It was what was called. I think chasing the beam on like the CRT. There was a whole phrase about it where basically the coders were trying to make it so that the software had finished execution before the electron scanning beam in the CRTs had reached the end of the line. And they basically coined it kind of, I don't know what the exact phrase is, I'm sure it's something like, chasing the beam. And it just means as the electrons are scanning left and right on the old CRTs, so like on, where are we? On these CRTs, when you turn them on, we've got nothing on it at the minute. But you basically get an electron gun, a big massive tube behind here, and it pulses along here, shooting photons and stuff at the screen, going across. And that little flicker you can see going up and down, that's the electron beam scanning. Now it's scanning way quicker than that. It's scanning every time you're seeing that line move down, it's already scanned the entire screen 60 more times. But basically, it scans along here, the beam, and then goes back and draws another line and goes back. So when the beam's going back like this, traveling back before it draws a line, that's when the code is executing. So the software developers are trying to make it that while that beam's traveling, they finish what they need to do. So when the next line draws, they can't do anything. They have to output to the screen, and then they chase the beam all the way down. So basically, with the Atari, the games dictate when they output a pulse to the screen. So every game's slightly different. And if you tune the colour on the Atari manually, which I have to do, and I tuned it to Pitfall, where it looks okay, if you then put Space Invaders in, it doesn't even show on screen because their frequency is slightly different. So that's one of the places where they're kind of tuning it by eye to what looks correct to me was actually the wrong thing to do, because to me Pitfall doesn't look the right colour when it's done to how the developers originally made the colour palette. So I'm just going to tuck these wires under. They all look nice and neat now. And then I'm going to keep them in a straight line like this, just so it looks neat. And get the clear. I can let go a minute while I get this out. Get some clear UV resin. UV torch, and we are going to straighten this out. Get a blob on here. So this is going to be like a UV curing resin. I want to try and keep the wires as close as possible so it looks neat. There we go. And then set this in. Get some UV light on there. So that's how those wires are going to stay in place. And then we can tidy them up here. And I think that's just nice and neat, so we can clean the flux off after, but generally just getting it looking a bit nice, so it's not like thick wires all over the show. You've just got like a nice little set of 3 wires going under there and then to a nice clean white board. We need ground and 5 volts. Now, the last one I did, you got 2 options on this board. You can have regulated 5 volts or normal. I've now designed it to match the resistance of the ground and 5 volts. So we're going to use the ground and 5 volts. And let's check. I think the last cap we did was the one under here, which means this board's probably, I bet the other board was higher up. This one's lower down, but let's find the 5 volt basically, so we can tap onto 5 volt and ground. And we just want somewhere close so the wires are shorter. Oh yeah, the coder, I remember that. Is he still doing that? I presume he will be. I remember seeing him on and off a while ago. Another guy in the UK. He was just doing PS5s, wasn't he, in his basement, and I've never really seen him since. I presume he's still doing them. I forgot all about them, but I don't really watch them. It's a bit too I don't know, just don't like the format. Not very relaxing for me. Something about it. Nothing against the person. It's just, I don't know. Didn't enjoy like casually browsing them streams. Right, so the output we want 5 volts. 22 ohms. I don't think that's going to be it. 22. Maybe it is. Well, I've got 22 ohms on the output. Should be basically 0. Tell you what, let's go to a known 5 volt. 12 ohms. Well, actually, I know the 5 volt on here is the bottom. Yeah, 23 ohms. That's actually quite a... I'm just probing on the LDO here on the output that we know is 5 volts. But interestingly, go to the output and go to, say, the top of here, which we know... sorry, the bottom of here, which we know is 5 volts. My multimeter is actually saying it's 18 ohms, which you should really be having 0 ohms. So it's got a pretty poor path there, which means this one there is the 5 volt. So this is also a 5 volt cap at the top, and ground will be the bottom. So we can attach 5 volt and ground to this. I just wanted to make sure that was right. Hey, morning. Welcome in. Yeah, we've just done a recap, so you got all like the nice ceramic caps everywhere now. So all that's done. We are CleanRGB in it the old way. I have a new board here. I've designed a drop-in board that's going to sit straight over the top of this chip and come with cut wires to length. So instead of running all these wires over here, they'll just attach to this chip, bend up, and this chip will sit on top. That's in production now as a prototype. So until then, I'm just doing, obviously, the hand wire version and the tuning like we did the other day. Not forgetting we've got to do the sync as well, because as we know, the sync isn't strong enough on this. It needs to pass through the CleanRGB as well. So let's just do the ground and 5 volts first. Hey, thanks for that sub as well. Much appreciated. In-person workshop, yes and no. Something I could do, but in between that's what the subscribers on this YouTube and Twitch are for. If you sign up for the paid subscription, I'm going to pretty much in the next week or two start doing, dedicated subscriber-only lives that are aimed at training people, basically, is the goal. Obviously, we can go through anything we want, because I'll be doing tons of them, so it's not like we need to be very strict and formal or anything like that. It's just we'll start doing the streams, and only the people that are in the subs can actually join those streams, and it's just a bit more one-to-one. So you want to ask me questions, or you want to be shown certain things, those streams are going to be aimed at that, the people that want a bit more kind of one-on-one time. And then in them, I'll also be training, obviously, how to do hardware and how to repair things, how to read schematics, anything we want to do. It's just going to be pretty much an ask away session, and you get me to, you get my time for however long we're on there to kind of train you up, if you will, or talk you through whatever you want to know. Whereas, obviously, these streams I'm working, so I've got work that I need to be doing. Whereas the subscriber-only streams, I'm not going to be working as such. I'm not going to go on there with a job to do. So we've got more time to dedicate to the people that are on there, basically. And then if that works well, we might not need in person, or at some point I can maybe host a little event if there was enough people. I've had lots of interest in it, but the whole logistics of it, finding a place where we do it, a little venue, bringing all the equipment, making sure people don't fall out. It's a lot more work to do an in-person venue, and it's not something that I wouldn't consider. We've had quite a lot of interest in it. It's just something I don't really have the time to dedicate to just yet, whereas the streams I can make the time now. Them solder balls, all these, don't know the exact purpose of them. They're just obviously, they're basically exposed pads for the ground plane. Why they did it on this, not sure. They did it on the bottom as well. It might be something to do with the metal cage that sits over the top, and all the RF. There was a lot of stuff about having emissions back in the 80s and 90s more than now, like radio frequency emissions, and this metal shield sits on here. There's also a top shield. Don't know where I've put that there. So these two shields sit over like that, and they'll be making contact with all them pads. So the very likely cause is to ground this shield without soldering. So it'll just touch and make contact with all them solder blobs. So it's almost definitely to make sure the shielding is grounded, to obviously then shield the EMI signals to pass through. So that's almost definitely what they're for, but obviously we don't know because we didn't make it. So we're guessing at what the Sega Tex did there, but that's a pretty good guess, I'd say. Right, that UV can go off a minute. Right, where are we at? We've got the ground and 5 volts. We got the outputs, so now we just need the inputs and the sync. So let's do the sync before I forget. And I've already forgot which one it is, so let me pull up the wiki. I only did it 2 days ago and I can't remember. Mega drive 2, AV pin out, sync is 1, 2, 3 along from the bottom. So that means the sink pin is 1, 2, 3. So it's this pin. So we want to cut the... Ah, yes, it's perfectly centre, isn't it? We want to cut this trace here. If you really didn't want to cut traces as well, you could follow this all the way back to... where does it go to? It'll go to this chip. So you could lift one of the pins on this chip and solder to that if you didn't want to cut a trace, like if you were really protective, if you will, against not cutting the board. But that's not an issue here. So we'll just grind through that trace. And then we've got the output going to the AV port. And the input right next to it. So we could send a wire, because this other side goes through, back up, and onto one of the pins of this chip. So we could attach a wire from here, flying all the way over to here. But considering we're sending a sync pin around to the back of here, we'll just send both the sync in and sync out around to the back like we did on the other one. So that sync in is going to go all the way around to the back and just cut him nice and long until we've put him in position. And then the sync out down here, we need to do the same. That's it. And then what we'll do is I'll feed that underneath in a second and around. And then the sync out, I'm just going to make longer quite a bit, just so we know for sure which one's the out wire. So now I'll pass this under here. And then pull it through. I've got a nice neat visual there then. That can hide under there. And now you've got these two. So what we want to do is join these together, straighten them out. We probably want to go, I'd say, you have to bear in mind that the shield's going to be pushing down on this. So we can either sneak it through this hole here. We could go through part of the shell that's not going to catch. Or, like, I think probably sneaking it through this bit here, because that will sit on this bit here, and there's tons of room, so you can see all that space around when it locks into the screw holes. I'll get this into the screw holes. That's where it's going to sit, and we've got tons of space around there, so absolutely mountains of space to slide the wire through. So I'm going to go through here and to the other side. So what we'll do on this is pass these wires through that hole. Like that. And again, that looks nice and neat then. So overall, that's what you're going to see. We obviously got to do the red, green and blue input as well, but we'll bring them around and over to here. Well, that's now the underside. Flip over, and then this wants to go along here to the port. So we'll just come in a straight line and get to about here. So if we hold that in position like there, then we'll get some of this clear UV cure mask again. Blob a little bit on to hold it in place. We'll blob a little bit down here. And get the UV torch on it. And this will just keep the wire in place. It's purely for visuals. Good morning, welcome in. We're just doing a Mega Drive 2 this morning. Yeah, I forgot this. Well, I'll say I forgot. That looks like it's UV activated flux. So do I have flux? Oh yes, look at that. Didn't even know that. So this flux, this Steri HF, that's quite cool. HT. You can use a UV light to see where you've not cleaned. That's sick. Little thing, but that's cool. And then look at my sponge covered in flux. I love that. I forgot about. I did actually read it on the website with it, but I forgot that was a thing. So UV light, clean me flux, and you can see how well you've cleaned. And then you go over here. Flux. Why does that flux look like a picture of a dick? That's how's that happened? That's not even mine either. We haven't even worked over here. There we go. That's cool. So let's see. I don't think I've really cleaned the board yet though. Let's see how clean the board is. Oh yeah, look at that, that's wicked. Look at all the flux around the caps. It's not been cleaned off yet. And the flux up here. I don't know why that's so enjoyable, but I like that. So when we clean the board, you can now see where we've been, for one, and where we haven't fully cleaned up flux. That's wicked. I like that. So then you can also see, you could work under the light and like clean off. Get like a UV light and clean. Yeah, that's so cool. I'm not going to bother going too far with this yet because I'll just be fully cleaning this board in one go anyway. But yeah, that's wicked. I've totally forgot about that feature, that I've got flux that's UV reactive, so you know when you've cleaned it off the board or not. Right, so the point of this, before I got excited about a glowing blue light, this is now held in position. So that looks neat. And then we can go over here, go into here and get the length just right and snip them. So the longer one was the output, which goes to the port. So this is the shorter one, which wants to go to this pad here. We zoom in on that. Cut this to size pretty much accurately now, which is going to be that one. And then the other one will bend up to there, and we'll cut that one to length as well. And I don't want to move them now because I've cut them that close to the same length. We'll get confused. So let me just let me put a kink on that in case it moves. There we go. Yeah, I think somebody set me up from Sega then. We're going to leave a bit of UV reactive flux on this Mega Drive, so when Luke works on it in 30 years, he's going to get a shock on a live stream. Somebody's going to go on Twitch and make that a clip now as well. It's going to be the thumbnail to the whole video. UV reactive dick. That's going to be definitely. I'll probably draw more views than the actual video. But I'm sure we haven't even worked in that area. Oh, we have. It's the flux from there. You see, when we've fluxed that, it's flown through and done that on us. It's done us dirty there, that's for sure. That's kind of annoying. That sits on the cap. That's visually not good. Let's move that off. Get it around. There we go. So I think that looks clean enough there. Got an A side here as well. So we zoom out. UV light. Look at this. Oh, who left that there? And we can clean that off. Don't know how that got there. Let's see if it's clean. Oh, look at that. All I've done is smudged it even further. So you can see I haven't fully cleaned it yet. I love that UV thing. You can have so much fun with that now. So clean it off with the cloth. That's so cool that you can see now, spotless. Hey, it actually worked as well. We got a sub. That's going to make me do it more now. It's going to randomly drop in stream just writing. I'm going to have no flux left after a few days. Got through an entire tub of flux in one stream, just writing on everything. I wonder how clean the desk is, because I clean this all the time. I know we've been working on it today, but there's me UV. Yeah, not bad. Tiny bit of flux there. But yeah, my desk as a whole, you can actually see on the desk here. So see over here, you can see them when we haven't cleaned. That's quite cool. Small things amuse small minds, I guess. That's pretty cool. I forgot what I was even doing now. I'm totally distracted by UV flux. What were we doing? Oh, soldering the sink wire on. So that's done. Thank you very much. I don't think I've ever had any bits on Twitch yet. It's only just started. Right, so we have this now. Yeah, bedtime for you. See you in a bit. Thanks for joining. Buffering, is it buffering still? It could be the internet signal. So now we just need to do the 3 inputs. Thank you, Sandy. You're smashing all them bits in and all the gifts and everything. Much appreciated. So let's do the same now on this side. We want the red, green, and blue input going off these pins. So we'll want to put the flux down. Ah, nice, thanks. It's like I say, it's all appreciated, even if it's anything. Basically, it's all just shows appreciation for the channel. And starting out, it's nice to see. It's enjoyable to see people do actually appreciate what I'm doing. That money will definitely be spent on Rusty. I'll have to get him some nice treat. I wonder if he's still sleeping. Oh, he's moved. Let me see if he's round the corner. Oh yeah, he's still flat out. Let me get a picture of this for you. Oh, he spotted me taking a picture. He was flat out round the corner. He's sitting on my shoes. So he's there on a zoom out. He was flat out there. He's waiting for me. That's the games room just outside the door. And he was just on his side snoring, but he's seen me pop round the corner for a picture. How long ago did I start streaming? About a month, probably. I started this stream 2 hours ago. I normally do them at the minute. I seem to be doing them early morning. I kind of get up early anyway, so it kind of works well for me. Everybody else is asleep and I just crack on with work. Yeah, defo should get a pub cam. Everyone, most people prefer to talk about Rusty on the stream than anything else when they realise he's about. He came on the first stream earlier. We had a baby stream at the start where the TikTok stream wasn't working. It still isn't, so we just didn't bother streaming this on TikTok for today. But I basically started the stream with the goal of doing all this, and then realised TikTok wasn't working. But in between that, Rusty had come down, wanted feeding and treats. So Rusty come on stream, And then we ended the stream because TikTok wasn't working. So basically, we just got like an 11-minute stream of just me feeding Rusty and him sniffing an Amiga at the desk. So if you watch the one from earlier, the 11-minute stream, it's basically just me cuddling Rusty. But yeah, we need a dedicated Rusty cam. I can set it up as well. I can use a Droid cam, set up a little Android, so we can have a permanent baby photo of Rusty on the stream. I mentioned doing this without a microscope and depth perception as fun. So this will be 2 seconds under a microscope, but because I'm trying to, oh, I was about to say, I'm trying to show you guys. You just see me head anyway when I'm doing that. Yeah, you probably are, aren't you? So I should have just used the microscope. I can't tell when my head's on stream. I try to keep it out of the way, thinking it's out of the way, and then you're probably not even seeing the work I think you're seeing. So I'll try to get that microscope camera set up, the microscope HDMI, so that I can actually do certain things like this where I could really do with the microscope, but without getting me big fat head on camera. So is the head on camera there? No, cool. I could set up a chat thing in Twitch actually. So if you put exclamation head, it plays a noise or something, like shift your head. And then if I'm looking down working, you guys could comment to tell me to shift my head. That might work. Right, so we've got these. Have I made them long enough? Yeah, they're just about long enough. So, well, that's the other side, but yeah. So what I'll do here is I'll get, what I'll do, if I'm going to group wires together, I'll just say we've got red, green, and blue in order. So we got red there, green, come on, separate, stupid wire, that way. So we've got red, green, and blue in order. And I'm going to cut them so that the red is the longest, then the green is next, and then the blue is shortest. And then that way, once we get over to the other side, we know which one's which, actually. Does that make sense? No, red should be the shortest because red's closest. So I'll make red the shortest, green the next, and blue the longest. Then double check before we glue it down. That's red. That's green. And that's blue. Yeah, so now I don't need to remember the wires or label them. This can just be glued in nicely, so we can make this look all neat, and then when we get to the other side, we know which wires are which. Yeah, we should, I'm trying to think where he always is. I could definitely get, in fact, you know these ops cameras, I think they're wireless. They only last a few hours, but we could have, we could definitely have a wireless Rusty cam. The problem is if people are wandering around or Rusty moves, we're going to have a camera of my kitchen or something and somebody could be doing something else. Not that it matters, they won't be doing anything, funky, but yeah, I think we do it. I am really tempted now to get a Rusty cam that's permanently on stream. Alright, so with these, we want to do the same thing. We want to go around here, I'd say. So maybe just like that. Now I know the USB is going to be installed on here, but I think if we just tuck it in tight like that, we'll go along here first, like that, that'll do. And again, I'm not one to be too fussed about ridiculously neat. Ooh, that's a lot. I nearly blobbed away too much on. I don't go crazy neat on things. I want it to be neat enough that it looks clean, but I don't want to spend all my time straightening wires up. So yes, this can be neater if you look at it, but I want it to be just neat enough that it looks good and clean. So that's a straight enough line. All that, get the UV. No hidden messages in the UV this time. The OBS Tiny 4K. Yeah, I'm almost definitely tempted to get one. I don't know what mine is. Is that what mine is? I think I think this one is the tiny, isn't it? I need to put a sticker on because I get it asked all the time. But I think this one with the movie stuff moving around, I think this is the tiny 4K. That's a bit crazy, but it's the battery powered one, isn't it? So that's like a £2,000 camera, I think. I don't mind spending £2,000 on Rusty Light, but I think I could also do more of a. I could make the battery solution myself and make the smaller ones battery powered if they were wireless. But yeah, definitely contemplating wireless Rusty Cam. That'd be pretty sick. Right, so we'll tack that over here. It goes past here. We can obviously bend this after into position wherever we want, like shape it. So I'm going to just apply some of the UV cure here. Nice big piece, so we've got a bit of strength in it when we flex these wires. There we go. Let's have a look at that cam. I'm sure the one I brought was at least £1,000, if not two. I've got that many, I can't even remember. Let me have a look. Yeah, 1,200. Oh, tail 2 I've got, not tiny 2. Oh, the tiny 2's this thing. My face cam's the tiny 2. That's not battery powered, is it? But if it's wireless, I could use that. But yeah, either way, well, it's got tracking on as well. I could get track Rusty. We'd have a Rusty tracking cam. And then we'd know when he's on his way in. I bet he's asleep again now. You can see if I can sneak a sleeping picture without him waking up. Oh, thanks for the cheers. No. Oh, this is funny. I've tried to sneak around the corner. And then look at what I saw when I snuck around the corner. He's just staring. I think he's just literally sitting staring. Like he was like that before the camera even went there. He's just looking at this door, waiting for me to come out. Just literally waiting. Making me feel guilty now. Just, oh, he's coming. I can hear him. We've woke him up one too many times. Right, so the shortest one is red. That wants to go into here. Cut that one. Next one was green. So that will go here. And then blue is there. And I think that's all the wires. We then got to quickly tune it, but that should be the RGB done then. Brecky, he woke up with me this time. He come down at like 5. If I get up a bit too late, I think I got up at 5:30. But yeah, if I get up late and it's long enough for Rusty, he'll come down with me, so that he's hovering down here now, waiting for everybody else. Whereas normally he'd be in bed until 8ish, 9ish. So he's got up early just because I've come down, but now he's sulking because nobody else is awake and I'm working. So that's why, another reason why I try to come down nice and early. Oh God, wait till you see where he is now. It's like this is turned into just a Rusty stream. Let me get that face. So I haven't even had to go out the room. There he is now. He's got a bit closer, hiding behind the clothes rail. He's creeping slowly more towards the door. So I'll go give him a treat. Let me zoom out. Let's bring him on a minute. Zoom out on there. Let's go get the little pug. You're getting your own camera. Yes. Oh, you're just looking for the treat, aren't you, in my hand? Right there. Let's get you on camera. There you go. Clean mat. Is that nice? Hey, Rusty Cam, you can have one of these. Yes, boy, stinky breath. Is that nice? You've just been sleeping. Thank you. What do you think of this? Hey, that passed the test. What about the back? Tweezers. No food. Or is it these you're after? Oh, is that it? Yeah. Is that what you want? There you go. Face cam's died for some reason. There we go. Yeah, that's it. You had 3 treats. Never mind looking at them. They're gone. Yes. Yeah, that's all good. We're nearly done. Oh, can you smell the UV? Hey. Right. You go back to sleeping. I'll come out in a minute. Out you go. And then he's had a giant piece of chicken. He'll probably still be running up here in a minute. Man. Tiny 2's a good calm NDI street. Oh, NDI as well. Yeah, I think we might definitely get a Rusty NDI Tiny 2 camera. Nice thick pug. Someone called him a unit on stream. I wasn't very impressed. Yeah, he used to be nice and trim up until about, I think, 5. And we went away on a cruise for 2 weeks. And basically, he goes like a boarding, like, you know, like home boarding. So he lives with a family and just a few other dogs. And when he first went, all the other dogs were quite happy to have the food on the floor, you know, in the bowl whenever they're ready for it. Of course, Rusty is a food monster. So what would happen is the lady would put the foods out for the dogs in the morning. Rusty comes strolling down at 5 o'clock, wipes out all 3 dogs' food. She didn't notice. The other dogs were starving for 2 weeks. Rusty ate for 2 weeks like a king. We picked him up and he was as fat as fuck. We were like, oh my God, what? He just come walking out like, boo, boo, boo. We're like, what the hell's happened? And he'd been chomping the dogs. He probably had like the equivalent of 10,000 calories a day for 2 weeks. And he was massive. So it took us a year to get the weight off. He's never got back to like trim. He used to be lovely and trim. But now he sits constantly at like 9 to 10 kilograms, which is the heaviest you want them to be without them having issues. But he's perfectly healthy. What is he now? He's 11 now. One of the healthiest pugs we've seen. Everyone always comments on it. So he lives a good life, but we do make sure we trim him up in cycles. But I just think as well, with his age, you don't need to go over crazy keeping them super thin. He's enjoying his life and he loves food. I'm not going to take too much away from him. But yeah, I was laughing when someone called him a unit on the last stream. I was like, no. He's a trim dog. He's nice and slim. To me, he's a slim junior pup. That's what I like to think of him as. But he defo loves his food. Right, that is all that done, I think. No, he's got no breathing issues, no issues whatsoever. He's never had an issue, really a health issue at all. The only thing is his eyes aren't that clear. But even as a pup, when we first had him, he'd already hit his eye, so he'd already got like an occlusion in his eye. But he's had that since a pup, so he knows no difference. So he's centre vision. If you go up to him like and put something in his face like this, he'll be like wondering what's going on. But he's got side vision and he's got decent vision. He sees you from miles away. But he's got occluded central vision. So other than his eyes being a little bit more, they don't look clean like eyes. They look like they've got black patches and stuff. But he's had that all the time. No issues whatsoever. He's had no issues with anything basically. So like I say, genuinely one of the healthiest pugs I know. So that's pretty much the finished install there. So that's as clean as you get, really. That's as clean as I get. I think it's clean enough to do the job. So now we need to tune it all in, basically. Oh yeah, we're going to have Jaws music on the Rusty Cam. We're definitely going to have to set up some stuff on stream so if he moves or put an infrared sensor that triggers off when it comes past. But to be honest, we need to reserve the Jaws music for the missus. That's what we need. When the missus comes through that door, the one between the kitchen, we need to play Jaws music. I can defo sort that out as well. Rescued one around 5 years ago. Oh, yeah, the large cyst on the rear. I know, it's shocking. I'd literally sell my house to make sure Rusty gets the best life, genuinely would. If he needed something doing and it costs hundreds of thousands, I'd spend it, I'd find it and spend it. I think they're the best thing in life. They're just loving and caring. How people can mistreat them or not love them I just don't understand that. I never will. Right, so the only thing left on this is to tune it. Yeah, if you've asked a question, just either pop it in again. I'm just still reading through them at the minute. We've got quite a few that popped up. But yeah, if I've missed it, just don't feel thingy about just spamming the chat. I'll see it again then. A500 plus requires recapping. Usually, as they're told, they don't. They absolutely do. The battery leaks, that's a given. But no, caps on the A500. I've got about 4 myself. So I brought quite a few. I brought 500s, 600s, and 1200s, and I've sold all the 1200s. I've sold 2 of the 500s, but I've got about 3 or 4 left. The 600s don't sell that much, even though I like them. They're like one of my favourites. But almost all of them, every single one, you turn them on and use them for more than half an hour. So if you play like, say, Secrets of Monkey Island, and you're sitting there playing with the mouse for not that long, like half an hour, you'll smell the fish smell, and it's the caps. 100% the caps on almost every Amiga do need doing. I haven't come across one yet that I wouldn't recommend them being done on, basically. There are some, like I say, they're not all that. Power supply caps, yes. But if you're going to use it for a long period, it's worth doing. Usual schedule at the minute, yes, I've got no official schedule, but I do seem to be doing. I've probably done now early morning streams for me, probably constantly for 2 weeks. So I'd say, as good as a schedule is for me, this is probably my schedule. So yeah, you're more than likely going to find me online at between 5 and 6 in the morning most days. I don't know what day we're on. Is it Tuesday today? I won't be on tomorrow. I've got house bashing to do. Got to do some plumbing at one of the houses we brought. So yeah, I probably won't be on at all tomorrow. But then after that, I will. We do sell cap kits for systems yet on retro6.co.uk. I need to expand it to more systems. We've done it for quite a few, but I need to really get back to doing them for more systems because it is one of the main things we sell. Oh yeah, the Cartoon Classics one. I've got that boxed. In fact, no, I've got a plain box one as well. But yeah, I've got the Cartoon Classics box. I've just had an Amiga 1200 I bought. It was boxed up the other day. It's now unboxed behind me. If I move out the way of the camera, still in the way. Got that boxed Amiga there. Come with absolutely tons and tons of games, like floppies. I've got hundreds of them in there, so I'll probably give them away to customers as they are, buying the Amigas. I'll chuck them a load of floppies in. How convenient the Streamlabs bot I set up and forgot all about. As just said, buy Rusty a treat. Mega Drive 2. Oh, Scott lead. I hope I've got one. Uh-oh. I thought I had one. I swear I had two of them. It's in here. I hope so. Yes. That's right. These are prototype cables. I haven't actually. They're in production now as we speak. I thought I hadn't got one left. I've actually got two left. No, so that's a Saturn one. That's the prototype Saturn. So I'm hoping this without the label is the final prototype Mega Drive 2 cable. Oh yeah, the CD32 I've got. I think I've still got one left. Yeah, I have. I gave one a friend. I love cars. I buy loads of cars. I used to have a load of different Porsches. I went through a phase where I was buying pretty much every model of Porsche slowly. And I know the guy, I got to know the guy that worked at the Porsche dealership quite well. He was like nice, friendly guy. So I got to know him a bit more on a personal level. And he used to look after us all the time. If I wanted a certain Porsche, I might change that port. That's quite a stiff port. Yeah, I might swap that port out. See if this works first anyway. It goes in, it just feels a bit tight. So I used to know the guy at Porsche, and he actually loved Amiga CD32s growing up. So I brought one, recapped it, give him hundreds of pounds worth of games and that, and sent it to him as like a little gift for, all the times he looked after us when I was buying cars, because I'm sure he saved me from losing a bunch of money on cars and getting me good deals and stuff as a genuine guy. But that's what got me into the Amiga. Well, to be honest, that was probably the first Amiga I looked at repairing before I was even doing the other Amigas. Oh yeah, I know about the pads. They are shocking. Yeah, I've always loved cars since I was like 17, 18. The first job I had when I wasn't working for myself was making gearboxes for rally cars. So the old like Ford Escorts and Anglias and the old Minis and things, putting dog gearboxes in. So I think they're popular in America now as well. But basically your gears that mesh with hard teeth, so they just smash in. So on rallies, you tend to just smash the gears to change gear, and you basically destroy the gearbox in one race, but you get faster gear changing. So I used to design them in CAD, and we had all the manufacturing on site and stuff. In fact, we need the test cart for this. So yeah, I've always loved cars. Just dog gearboxes. So if you type in, the place I used to work at was called Beagle Engineering, like the dog, and it's, let me see if it's still classed as that, because there's also Elite Racing Transmissions. It's basically the same thing. It's the same company, but Beagle Engineering is the general engineering firm, and then Elite Racing Transmissions is the company that I presume they're still going. I know the guys there still. Yeah, they are. So EliteRacingTransmissions.com. That's where I used to work. That's one of my first jobs. Used to love that job. And they sell all the gearboxes still. IL100s, IL300s for like inline dog gearboxes. But if you're into cars, yeah, you can look that up. You've got another Porsche guy. I know my kebab guy. Hey, I know that too. We used to go for curries everywhere. And we literally were known in almost every curry shop in Stoke, every curry house in Stoke. We used to be known. Walk in, didn't even have to order things. Just sat down, drinks come, starters come, food come. That's why we got so big. PPG sequentials. I've not even heard of that. I've been out the car scene in terms of like the engineering for a little while. Right, flash cart is up here. Archimedes, no, not that I know of. Right, power on. Oh, we won't get. We need the scope on. Actually, I didn't take a photo, did I? I did it on the last stream of roughly where to turn these dials. Oh yeah, and we need to change the resistors, don't we? Missed one step. Say missed one step. We don't need that in. But we need to change this resistor on these three to 3K. We did it on to pull the DC offset enough out the way. So we want the 0603 resistors. What time are we on now? Nearly 9 o'clock. Well, when you get up later, the day goes much quicker. So I'll get 3 of these 3Ks. Oh, nice. What's the channel? What's your YouTube channel or your whichever channel you record on? I'll try and have a watch of it when it's out. Alright, so this is allowing us to pull the DC offset from the input to the RGB because they're like 2.4 volt offsets. So this will allow us to remove that because that's quite a heavy offset, and the CleanRGB is not set up to remove that much offset. So that's one. That's 2. Yeah, definitely. I'd just get it all recorded, even if it's just for yourself as well. Just to, I like the streaming because, like I say, we're having a chat, and normally I'll say about 6 words all day. Otherwise, so it's kind of nice to have I'm effectively sitting here talking to myself on camera, but you guys aren't actually there in a sense. But yeah, it's nice to just have a bit of feedback and chat while you're working. It slows the work down a little bit, but it also makes it a bit more enjoyable. Right, so that now, we don't need to plug back in the AV port for now. We still need to tune it. So all we need to do is, what I'm going to do is if I just boot Sonic up, save going into the flash card and plugging in composite like we did before to try and figure out where we start. Just going to plug any game in, just so we get something on screen, tune it roughly to where it needs to be, so then I can get the RGB working, and then we can use the RGB to get back in the menu. So that'll make a lot more sense in a second. So if we turn it on. Yeah, workspace is the best place I had for working was actually at my previous house. I had a loft and I converted it, and something about the shape of the loft having like low hanging wooden beams, I'd like hooked me multimeter on one of the sides and hooked a fume extractor the other, and just something about that layout, and then a deep workbench because you couldn't get further into where the roof is, worked really well for like a setup, like better than this. It was just such a convenient little shape. And then I was in the loft, so then I put a sofa up there, obviously, put Netflix on. So I'd have a workbench behind me and then a sofa in front to just go and chill. So I'd do a bit of work and then I'd just go and sit on the sofa, chill, and put the TV on, then go back, work a bit. It was a nice little space, that was. So this we're going to need an oscilloscope for. So let's get the oscilloscope probe out. We want ground wire, which we don't have on at the minute. Let's tack this onto one of these ground pads, I guess, here. I'll do. Unplug the power a minute. Right, so that's the ground wire. Pull up the oscilloscope. Grip on this. And now we should be able to move that over there. Pull it up on camera. Yeah, definitely just let me know on one of the Mega Drives. Well, you're subbed as well, so when we do like the sub-only streams, you can also ask on there and we can dedicate to try and repair it. I'd like to try and do something where we can get something interactive on screen when we do that as well. So if we're going to do like specific streams for subs, get some way where you guys could actually share. I think I could do like a media share thing, so you guys can somehow post onto the stream, and then at least the subs we trust, so we're not going to get filled with spammers. We can trust the people that are paying the subs that we hopefully won't get abused. That'd be cool to have, so you guys could like share pictures as you're going, or even video somehow, so we can kind of go back and forward on, you know, doing that repair. That's a good point. We can do it through Discord. Yeah, it's a very good point. It's just simple as that. A sub-only Discord channel. And we can, to be honest, we can even just put the Discord up on screen. Or yeah, you could do video chat as well. There's loads of options when you think about it, actually. Right, so we've got the scope on screen. Got plugged in, console's on. I presume it's running, but we can't see. So now what we're going to do is probe the red in. There you can see we've got red, so that's the input. The DC offset is what we need to remove. So if we probed on the DC offset here, I think the last one was 2.4. So let me just see if this one is 2.4. Oh, obviously we've got a dial, so let's go to this one. It's already been tuned. That to there, bring it down. I'm hoping it is, because otherwise it's not consistent. Yeah, 2.44. So I've pre-configured that already to be in the pre-configured mod. I'm expecting it to be 2.4, so it's a very specific one. So now if we go to the DC offset and we tune this, you can see it's already set somewhere. So pull it up, tune down, and then because I've got quite a lot of spikes on there, I'm going to put a 4 meg filter on this, just so it filters more like what the console has seen. So now we have a bit smoother input, and I want to lower that just to the point. And let's also put a trigger on so it's a bit more stable. I want to lower that just to the point of hitting ground, but without clipping any data. So that just about hits ground there. Next one on the green, exact same thing. Bring it up, drop it back down. Perfect. Blue. Bring it up and then lower it back down. Perfect. So that's the DC offsets. And now we don't know a white level because this game's just plain, so we might not have white on the screen, but we'll just tune this close to it. And then we can plug it into the actual receiver and then load up the test card to get a true white screen. So 0.2 volts there is where we want the signal to come out, and 1.4 in the amplitude, which is 1.6 there. So we want the signal to fall right between these on each pin. And obviously, like I say, we might not have white on the screen, so gain all the way down on all of them. And now we can turn this up until you can see it's already hit the 0.2 as it should. We just need to increase that until the top hits there, which is rough there. We've got something like, and we'll tune it properly when we get the white screen loaded on the test card. So that's somewhere like, and that's somewhere like, so that's good enough now that we should see something on the actual RGB output. The OSSC I'm using is an Amazon one, so I buy from the same supplier every time, just so I get consistency with, well, as consistent as you can get. Let me just pull it up. Orders, I've only just recently ordered another one, because we also sell them to customers as part of like some of the upgrades. So I should find it, there we go. This is the, you're on Twitch, let me just send the message straight in Twitch. Oh, join Twitch. I can't post messages in the Twitch chat. Okay, let's just spam it across all the channels then. There we go, so that's the link to the OSSC, basically. Yeah, so I only just spotted your message, Phil. Enjoy your day if you were still on. We won't be far off now. Right, so this now should give us something on the OSSC. So if I plug this in, we might need to change this AV port because I feel like that's quite a tight port, that is. I feel like that really, I don't know, doesn't feel like it wants to go in. This might not even be the bloody Mega Drive one either. That's the other thing I don't know of for sure, because it's still the prototype cables, but I'm hoping that's the Mega Drive one. Tap in. There we go, look at that. So now we know that is the RGB. We haven't tuned it perfect yet, but you can see already how clean that is. We're fairly close to it. So what we'll do now is get the test cart in and go to a white screen and tune this perfectly. Oscilloscope. The OSSC, no, it's a HDMI output, but I've got the HDMI running into a Elgato Camlink 4K to capture it on screen. So anything that captures HDMI will work with it. Oscilloscope, it's a Picoscope 6402D, the exact one I'm using, but if you want a basic one, I have some spare, so if you wanted to buy one for like £30, £40, they're £120 to buy new and they're still sealed. I used to sell them. So I can chuck you one for like a really low price if you wanted an entry-level Picoscope. Right, so test patterns, color bars. So now we can see the whites. You can see all them colors are good, but I think the one, well, we can. That's a nice static screen, so we can now tune this perfect and see how close we were. So we get the scope up again. Move this around to that side. Probe the output. This wants to be between them lines perfectly, basically. And we can see, we probably want to, oh, if I just knock that, yeah, just knock the power switch. So I'll have to go back into that. Oh, wrong one. I want to burn this 240p test switch straight onto a cart, or just flash something onto a Mega Drive that just boots to a white screen, so you don't have to do this bit. All right, that's back on. Let's try not to knock it off this time. Yeah, if you want that, just it'll work on pretty much everything. It's good enough for every retro console. They're not as fast and as good as this one, but they're good enough for 90% of everything you'll need to do. And then if you needed more than that, I'd still recommend Picoscopes. Just go higher models, basically. So we can get this bigger. This now wants to be up to the 0.2 and up to the 1.4. So that's where we want it to be. You can drag this over and up to the very top. Yeah, so to be honest, I'm going to go back on that screen. I'm going to go with a pure white screen. I don't know why I'm doing a screen with more info on than it needs to be. Let's just actually go to a pure white screen so it's very clear and in your face. We don't need all that. We can just literally do color screen, white and RGB screens there, white screen. Let's just keep it simple. And now when we probe this, we'll just have a solid, flat DC signal. So there we go. So that wants to tune up to that bar, basically. So we were a little bit off. We can tune that up to there. Green. There. Blue. There we go. So that's now absolutely perfect. So let's just check if that's all working. Play a quick bit of Sonic. And then I'll go to Rusty because he's now crying. He's waited that long. He's had enough of me. Now he's like, you need to come and spend some time with me. So let's go on a quick check on the 240p test suite. Make sure nothing's cropping. We're done with that scope now. So test patterns, color bars. You can see every division there on the screen, so you're not missing anything. And then let's play a game now. Oh yeah, let me see where he is now. The Rusty update. He's literally crying at the bottom of the steps now. So he's gone down and he's now crying to get back up. So he's just sitting there whinging at me. So he's going to be barking in a minute. So we've got a few more minutes to wrap this up. Let's chuck on Sonic, I think, again. Sonic the Hedgehog. 1 or 2. I think I'll do 2. See, I didn't see 2 the other day. I thought that was missing. And the problem with this is we have that massive stream delay. So this is I still haven't set up. I just keep coming on streams and then not fixing all the stuff I say I'm going to fix, which is I want to run it through the CRT so I can sit and play on the CRT. I still haven't done that yet. But yeah, you can see how nice this is. Let's just blow it up on screen a minute so you can see full screen. But yeah, look at that. Perfect RGB, as you'd expect. Really nice. Whoa, this is some delay. Did Tails do other people's heads in or just mine? Oh no. Oh yeah, I forgot down here. I accidentally did the secret, I forgot it was there. No! Oh, I knew I was going to touch that. And is the Tails one where you plug in the second controller, you can control Tails? Is that this version of Sonic? I think it is, isn't it? You got like a little Easter egg where if you plug the second controller in, you can basically play with Tails on the second player. Ooh, let's get the checkpoint. Oh yes, secret area. Nearly missed it then. I should try it actually, shouldn't I? There's Tails here. Let me see if I've got that second controller. That's a hypercane. Oh, he's back up. He's staring right outside the door. So let's see if, and this is a hypercane controller, but I'm sure Genesis, I'm sure it is. So let me unpause and then see if the second controller. Yes. Play Tails. Right, you go away, Tails. Will he stay there now? Let's see if Tails stays there if the second player's playing him. Will he actually stay? Ah, yeah, so you can get rid of Tails. Plug in a second controller, walk him off screen and leave him there. The Picoscope, I think it's the 1-1 something. Let me just find out. Picoscope. It is the... let's go on here. If it's the one I'm thinking of. I've got them in the garage so I can get you the exact model. I think it's the 2205A. They're going for actually £198, but like I say, I can do you cheap anyway, like £40-50, something like that. It might not be that version anyway. It might be the 2204, but yeah, it's basically if you type Picoscope and then 2204 or 2205, it's one of those two, and it's like the entry level scope, but it's a true scope where it'll say it's only 10 megahertz, but it's true 10 megahertz, and it reads even like Game Gear clock signals up to 30 megahertz. So, whereas if you brought an oscilloscope online, that could tell you that it's 100 megahertz, and it's not even doesn't even do 10. I did a lot where I was testing all of the brands of oscilloscopes, and 90% of them just lie about frequencies. Whereas Picoscope is true. So if you say it's a Picoscope that's 10 megahertz, it's as good as most 100 to 150 megahertz other scopes that claim those kind of bandwidths. Well, it's even harder when you've got stream lag and Sonic's going 1,000 miles an hour. Oh, I knew I shouldn't have jumped there. Yeah, just drop me a message on Discord or email me. Oh, I've missed that one as well. Email me contact@retro6.co.uk, whichever. Or you can just go straight on retro6.co.uk. Go to Send and Services. And then at the bottom, there's something called Bespoke. Oh, I can't go backwards. Bespoke Order, it's called at the very bottom. If you just go to that, you can enter whatever price you want. So enter £30-40. If you're in the UK, just chuck in 10 quid for DHL delivery. If you're international, chuck on 20. So basically, it'll cover the postage as well. And then just leave a note on the order saying, Picoscope, please, and then I'll see it. And then, I can get you sent that way as well. Ooh. There we go. Yeah, that's another CleanRGB modded Mega Drive anyway. So I will finish this off or get Zach to finish it off, one or the other. It's got the USB mod that needs doing on it. But I'm now going to go to chill with Rusty a bit. Going to have an hour off and then get back to work. So I'll see you guys. It'll be Thursday now because, like I said, I'm doing the house bashing tomorrow. But I'll be back on probably Thursday morning, bright and early. Oh yeah, I remember the Vectrex. We've actually stopped working on them just because part of trying to keep on top of all the orders, they're one of the ones that only I'd work on and not Zach, and I have even less time, so we don't really officially work on them now either. Although, we get requests every day for working on stuff that we've ended. It's just trying to keep up with the amount of work we have, basically. So yeah, thanks for joining in, everyone. TikTok didn't work this time, so they've all missed out, but I think it's been perfectly fine with all the other platforms. So catch everybody on Thursday, and yeah, have a good day. Oh yeah, Rusty's definitely going to be happy. Oh yeah, he's sitting waiting for me. He's going to love it when I go out to the men. Lots of treats. There we go.